6:30. And the first thing on our agenda is the reorganization of the board and appointments to committees. So the first agenda item is to read the oaths of office for new and returning members. So Lori, I mean, maybe.
Can you do Lori first?
Sure.
And then Lori can do the rest of it. How about that?
Oh my gosh, Lori, that would be amazing.
So Ray,
What?
you're going to need to give me a minute to download that because I sent them all over to Holly because
Okay.
Holly was
Well, then, so, you know, I just thought that used to be our usual thing. So
We figured you already memorized it.
But why don't you just proceed there?
Matt, stop.
Get me out of this.
Okay, so Lori, you want to go first?
Sure.
Okay. I, Lori Elwell,
I, Laureen Elwell,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will be true and faithful to the state of Vermont,
that I will be true and faithful to the state of Vermont,
and that I will not directly or indirectly
directly or indirectly
do any act of or thing injurious
do any act or thing injurious
to the Constitution or government thereof.
to the Constitution or government thereof.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Under pains and penalty of perjury.
Under pains and penalty of perjury.
And the oath of office for justice of the peace. I, Laureen Elwell,
I, Laureen Elwell,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will faithfully execute the office of Prudential Committee Member
that I will faithfully execute the office of North Bennington Graded School District Clerk.
There you go. For the state of Vermont,
For the state of Vermont,
and will therein do equal right and justice
and will therein do equal right and justice
to all persons to the best of my judgment and ability according to law.
to all persons to the best of my judgment and ability according to law.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Under the pains and penalties of perjury.
Under the pains and penalties of perjury.
Beautiful. Great job.
Thanks.
Now, do you want to do the other ones or do you want me to?
So, I mean, I don't mind, but like I told Ray, I'm going to need to download them on my other computer because
No, I got it.
well, then you
There's
go
only-
right
there's
ahead.
only 3
Holly.
more. That's easy.
You go right ahead.
Okay. How about you, Doug?
Yeah, I
Okay.
go right ahead.
I, Douglas Bugie,
I, Douglas Bugie,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will be true and faithful to the state of Vermont,
that I will be true and faithful to the state of Vermont,
and I will not directly or indirectly
and I will not directly or indirectly
do any act or thing injurious
do any act or thing injurious
to the Constitution or government therein.
to the Constitution or government therein.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Under pains and penalty of perjury.
Under pains and penalty of perjury.
I, Douglas Bugie,
I, Douglas Bugie,
do solemnly swear or
do
affirm
solemnly swear or affirm
that I will faithfully execute the office of Prudential Committee Member, Delinquent Tax Collector.
Right. Hit the
I'm
first part
learning.
again for me. What was the?
Oh, I will faithfully execute the office
I will faithfully execute the office of Delinquent Tax Collector for the North Bennington Graded School District
for the state of Vermont,
for the state of Vermont,
and will therein do equal right
and will therein do equal right
and justice to all persons to the best of my
and
ability,
justice to all persons to the best of my ability,
according to law.
according to law.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Under the pains and perjury, penalties of perjury.
Under the pains and penalty of perjury.
Boom.
Here we go.
Ready, Lainey?
Lonnie, yeah.
Sorry, Lonnie.
No worries.
I, Lonnie DeSorda,
I, Lenny DePonte Sorda,
thank you, Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will be true and faithful to the state of Vermont,
that I will be true and faithful to the state of Vermont,
and that I will not
and that I will not,
directly or indirectly,
directly or indirectly,
do any act or thing
do any act or thing
injurious to the Constitution or government thereof.
injurious to the Constitution or government thereof.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Under pains and penalty of perjury.
Under pains and penalty of perjury.
Okay, one more, you're almost done.
Woohoo!
I, Lonnie DePont DeSorda,
I, Lenny DePont DeSorda,
do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will faithfully execute the office of Prudential Committee Member
that I will faithfully execute the office of Prudential Committee Member
for the state of Vermont
for the state of Vermont
and will therein do equal right
and will therein do equal right
and justice to all persons
and justice to all persons
to the best of my judgment and ability
to the best of my judgment and ability
according to law.
according to law.
So help me God under the pains and penalties of perjury.
So help me God under the pains and penalties of perjury.
Done. Good job. One more.
Is Kieran on?
Is Kieran?
He was, I just saw him.
Oh, there he is.
Kieran, there you are.
Yep.
Hey, Kieran.
Couldn't see you.
Okay, we'll make it quick. Do you have this, memorized by now?
No.
All right, 2 paragraphs, then we're good. I, Kieran McNamara,
I, Kieran McNamara,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will be true and faithful to the state of Vermont,
that I will be true and faithful to the state of Vermont,
and that I will not
and that I will not
directly or indirectly
directly or indirectly
do any act or thing
do any act or thing
injurious to the Constitution or government thereof.
injurious to the
Constitution.
I think he froze.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. I'm here.
There you are. We heard you, so help me God.
So help me God.
Under pains and perjuries of perjury.
Penalties.
Penalty, pains and
Under
penalty.
pains and penalties of perjury.
The trick oath. So one more. I, Kieran McNamara,
I, Kieran McNamara,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will faithfully execute the office
that I will faithfully execute the office
of Prudential Committee Member
of Prudential Committee Member
for the state of Vermont
for the state of Vermont,
and will therein do equal right
and therein will undo equal right
and justice to all persons to the best of my ability and judgment,
and justice to all persons under the best of my ability and judgment,
according to law.
according to law.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Under the pains and penalties of perjury.
Under the pains and penalties of perjury.
Nailed it. Good job. Good job. So I've got that. And then the next thing we need to do is the reorganization meeting. We need nominations in to nominate for the chair of the North Bennington Prudential Committee. Would anyone like to make a nomination
I will
for the
nominate
chair?
Ray Molyneux as chair.
I'll second.
Are there any other nominations? So all in favor of nominating Ray Molyneux to be chair of the North Bennington Prudential Committee?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
All opposed? And the ayes have it.
Congratulations, Ray.
Congratulations. I know it's a shocker. The
That's what-
Yeah.
So this is the last one, is that, we need to make a motion to authorize the superintendent or his or her designee to execute on behalf of the school district purchase orders, agreements for consulting services, grant agreements, and other contracts arising affecting the routine operation of the North Bennington Graded School District. The superintendent or designee shall not execute any contracts resulting from a public bid process, any employment agreements, and/or any long-term contracts without express authorization from the board.
I'll make a motion that we approve that. Did I get a second?
I'll second.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Aye. We got this done. Good.
Okay, now we didn't get a vice chair and we didn't get a board secretary, which is just a,
We also need a
In case we don't-
delegate to the SVSU.
sorry, what?
We need a delegate to the SVSU. The policy committee wasn't done.
I know that. I'm
Okay.
just trying to get through the officers of the board here, so.
So it says here that once you are now the chair,
Yes,
and then I can turn the meeting over to the elected chair, so you can nominate the vice chair, the clerk, and to SVSU Board of Directors.
so for vice chair, is Matthew willing to serve still?
Yes.
Okay. Then I'll nominate Matthew Patterson as our vice chair.
I'll second.
At your own peril.
So, are there any other nominations? Any other? Okay, then I'll call the question. Are we all in favor of Matthew Patterson as our vice chair for the next year?
Aye.
Say aye.
Aye.
Kieran? I didn't hear
Aye.
you. Okay, thanks. And Matthew, I assume, is, since he's already affirmed he's willing to serve.
I was an aye.
Then usually we have a board secretary, which is a kind of a, for one thing, we have 3 people that could sign off scheduled warrants. And secretary is usually one of them, and the secretary also occasionally has to take minutes for us when, for some reason, Lori is not available or it's a post-executive session or something. At any rate, so I don't have anybody in mind. Last year, I think it was Kiernan. But there are only 3 other parties and one of them's not here, right? Tim Kane's not here. So, Lonnie could want it perhaps, or perhaps not, since it's her first year on the board.
Yeah, I could nominate Kieran to do that.
Yeah, thank you. I'll make a second on that. So, are you willing to do that, Kieran?
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor of Kieran McNamara as the secretary, the board secretary? Say aye.
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 All right, so that's our officers. And I'll make a motion that chair, vice chair, and/or secretary of the board are authorized to approve off-cycle warrants. That's my motion. I need a second.
I'll second.
All right. I don't think it requires, sorry, I just lost some. Requires further discussion, so I'll call the question. All in favor of authorizing the chair, the vice chair and secretary and in sequence to sign for off-cycle warrants. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Moving on, public comments. Don't
Excuse
see
me,
any
Ray.
public.
Excuse me,
What?
can I interrupt?
Yes,
So I'm looking at minutes from the last few years, and you've elected someone to the finance committee, the personnel committee, the policy committee.
that's actually, those are appointments, but yes, we ought to do that. Thank you.
Well, it said motion to nominate, and they were seconded and so voted. So I didn't know if you wanted to do that.
I think we just sorted out. So we had basically an SVSU representative. We have a finance committee for ourselves and a facilities committee for ourselves. Last year, I believe we did both finance and facilities as a committee of the whole. So everybody on the board is a participant in those committees. Hopefully that allows us to get a quorum for any meeting that they have, those subcommittees have. Is that okay with everybody?
Works for me.
Yep.
Okay. Then the issue then is the SVSU point person. We only get one member of the SVSU board. No alternates available. I've done it for many years and I will continue to do it if you all have confidence in me doing
So
it.
moved.
Well, I figured no one wanted the extra meeting. I don't want it either, but I will go. All right, thank you very much. We don't have any public comments, so does that take care of everything, Lori? You've been stalwart at correcting me here, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
I wanted you to make sure you didn't miss anything. Last year, you made a motion to elect Kiernan to the policy committee.
Oh, yeah, okay, right. There's that. We have the policy committee. Karen, have you?
Well, we had Tim take that over.
Who take it over?
Tim was the one who took that over.
Yep, Tim was the alternate and then took it over, but we still voted to do that.
Tim Kane? Okay. All right. Well, I'm fine with that if
Okay.
you'll attend it. I know that they've not been meeting that regularly. And I attended one of those inadvertently because I got here early. And there wasn't really a lively bunch.
Policy will tend to do.
However, it is a good committee to serve on because if you follow the discussion, you will likely have something to contribute. He will likely have something to contribute. So, okay, Tim's going to be our man for policy. Thank you very much.
Tim Kane.
Yes.
Tim Kane.
Last year, you also had someone for the personnel committee.
Oh, that's usually me
Yeah,
because
that was
it
you.
doesn't happen very often. Yeah.
Okay, well, there's that, and that might be it.
I think that's it. And I thank you for reminding me of those. I didn't remember all those things. I'm on the SU Finance Committee, but that's a necessity because I'm the only person from this district on the board.
Okay, so you're on both the finance and the personnel committee.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm also on the Superintendent's Evaluation Committee too.
Would it be easier just to know which boards you're not on? Or which groups you're not on?
Those are the only ones I know of because I'm not on. Yes.
I'm kidding.
It's just because since I'm the only member in the SU discussions, kind of behooves me to be in the finance committee. Personnel is such a irregular event.
Great.
Thank you. Now we can get on with the treasurer's report. Thank you.
All right. Mine will be short. I don't have a lot this evening. Balances are looking good. We ended February a little over 742,000 for cash balances. We will have, Ray had asked, there is one more state aid that will come in at some point in April. And then that'll be the last one until September. So usually next month, I'll start talking to the bank to see about setting up the tax anticipation line of credit if it's going to be needed. So those conversations typically start April, May, so that
Right.
it's set up for
So we
those
get
summer
ready
months.
to do it, to
Yep.
actually sign for it, and we'll sign that in.
I think it's been July. Yeah, I think it's July that we've typically signed it, and then, you know, it's really the July, August, and September where it gets dicey.
Right.
Before we get that first lump sum
Yes.
from the state.
So that also leads to, you want to discuss the bond payment?
So I will have that for you at the next meeting where we are with those numbers. I did not have that for today. So I'll have all that for, the
Well,
next meeting.
just the process, just so.
Oh, the process, absolutely. Yeah, the process. So yes.
I didn't expect you to.
Okay, I misunderstood where you were going with that. Yes, so we have for the new members, we have a bond payment that is paid once a year that is due on July 1st. And that is paid from the account. We do get a small credit which offsets some of the interest through the collateral basically of the bond. So we'll get a check. Last year it was actually on time. We got it either end of April or beginning of May. Comes from the IRS. The year before we were chasing it into August. But last year, 2 years ago, we were chasing it. Last year it came on time. So I should be getting that paper. I believe it was around the beginning of April that I sign off on that and they send it to us and then the payment is due in July. So like we had brought up at the annual meeting, I'll look into exactly how many payments we have left. I believe it'll
I
be
think
two
it's
after.
3, it must be 3.
Right, two after this year,
Yeah, right.
right. I think that's where we're at with that. But yeah, so that'll be coming up. And then other than that, you know, it's the normal, we have 11 payments to the village school. And then the other ones are broken out. That's the only one that we pay, I'll call it over the summer. We have 1 month off and then there's the 2
Right.
months that we started back up again before. Delinquent taxes are doing well. I gave a report at the village last night for the school district. The report I ran for the beginning of March, we were a hair over 43,000. I've actually already received monies in March, which is not typical. This is usually a slower time, but again, as I noted earlier, delinquent taxes are up across everywhere. So we are under 40,000 now for outstanding delinquents.
That's still really good
Yes.
considering what we used to be.
Yes, and percentage wise, it's still really good too, you know, based on what's out there. So, and the other good thing is, you know, I have a handful of people that are making payments. So, you know, there's probably around 5 folks that are on the list on the larger side that I haven't heard from at all. So majority of the people that are out there have either made payments or I've spoken to them and they have a plan in place to clear it up. So hopefully, knock on wood, we continue on that track, but usually again, the May, June is when we'll have to start making decisions. And luckily the last few years, even the past few years for Mary, it was just, you know, we've gotten to the point where some of them, we've sent the attorney letter, but it's never made it to having to make a decision on a tax sale.
Tax sale.
Yeah, but usually like I said, the few that we had last year, they were paid within the 30 days that the attorney gives them before we would start the process.
Have you followed any of the legislature's work on revising tax abatement process?
A little bit, yes. Yeah. So yeah, it's out there. I don't know that it will affect us as much based on,
We've
You
only had 2 abatements in my whole 23 years on board.
yeah, and based on our small size, while yes, taxes are up, we're still not in that stratosphere of some of those other
Yes.
municipalities, so. But yes, I've read a couple of the articles.
Yeah, I thought you might, I was going to send you notice of it. I'm glad that you looked into it.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, the biggest piece over the
because I
next,
failed, I didn't send you notice.
obviously, the biggest piece over the next couple of years is, any changes to the common level appraisal.
Right.
And obviously, the reassessment that's gonna be happening. That's a done deal. That's happening regardless.
The reassessment.
Correct, right, but there is talk in the legislature
Right.
about changing
Change
the CLA. Because as we've all seen right now, you can't assume best case scenario always carries through, because the situation that we're in just proves how easily this can tip
Yes, and tip radically.
very radically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest point to it is when you have towns and villages that did a reappraisal and then within 18 months have to do another one, that should never be happening. That shows you there's a problem within the methods.
The internal system.
Exactly. So, yep. That's all I have, unless there's any other questions.
So, yeah, any questions? None offered. So, the second part of the finance report is the budget control status sheet that's included in the packet. And usually we skip over this. I would note one thing, just looking at it. If you look on page 2. Wait, no. Oh, no, it's actually page 1. At the top of the page, tuition and SU assessment. There are 3 different lines that matter there: tuition to public Vermont LEAs, tuition to private Vermont LEAs, and tuition to non-Vermont private LEAs. So if you look at the latter 2 lines, you see, if you go all the way to the right-hand column, you see a negative available balance. The one for the non-Vermont private LEAs, that's because we had no budget for those couple of students. The next line up, tuition to private Vermont LEAs, which includes the village school, that shows a deficit only because the amount for the village school has not been adjusted for the actual payments that are being made. It will come in substantially under the 2.4 million ultimately. And that'll be a source of our fund balance for FY27. And then you see on the public Vermont LEAs, which include Southwest Vermont Union Elementary School District schools, mostly Shasberry, but Molly, I think, has a couple. And it also includes 1 child in Arlington. But I think we're in a lot better shape than the bottom line for that block of expenses, minus $4,000. I think it will be a substantial positive amount ultimately. You look at, I'm continuing on here. You look at the next block, which is the Board of Education block on the budget. we seem to have about 27,000 in surplus there. And treasurer, we would not have a surplus. Everything else is pretty much based on assessments. And usually those end up being pretty much to the penny what they show as a budget. So at any rate, I think we will show some sort of a surplus here. I don't know how much it'll be without going through calculations myself. So let's go back to, we have a consent agenda. That's the next on our agenda. We have the minutes of February 14th, submitted by Lori, and we have the warrants. The warrants. Okay. So why don't we go ahead and I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes. I would expect that Lonnie will not vote on that since she was not present at the meeting, but
So moved.
second, thank you. Any discussion of the minutes? All right, so all in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, thank you. And Lonnie is abstaining. The warrants, so go to the warrant itself. There's the payroll warrant that's for Doug, I believe.
Yes, yep, it's quarterly.
Quarterly payment on his treasurer's salary. And then the warrant shows payments for Arlington School District for the student that's attending Fisher Elementary, Island Hall School, Long Trail School, Maple Street School, Pine Cobble, Sacred Heart, South Shire, and the village school down at the bottom. And then there are assessments in between for the SVSU. And finally, SVSU Union Elementary for 22 students. And the total is $383,113.04. I'll make a motion that we approve that because we've got to pay the bill.
Second.
Second.
So all in favor of approving the warrants?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. All right, I think that was all of us. Now, superintendent's report. I don't think there is one.
I don't know, he's not here.
Yeah, thank you. So chair's report. This is where we normally do most of our business, I guess, although, you know, obviously we pay the warrants separately. And I really don't have that much to say except, I mean, if people want to speak to the election results, I'll just run through them quickly. You know, John Lamson was reelected for moderator. He got 322 votes, I think. Can't read my handwriting. That may be incorrect. Might be 2 votes, 302. Doug got 308. I don't know why the rest of these people didn't vote for you, but
I know.
they forgot.
Man,
Lori got the most votes.
she's the most
341.
popular.
She's been in this business a long time, too. Kieran got 284 and Lonnie got 302. That's excellent, Lonnie.
We.
So then the 2 articles passed. I think with results that are very similar to last year and the previous years. I would like to construct a chart of that so that we keep track of that. So the budget itself was approved for 278 votes yes and 100 no. And the article for the tuition amount for the village school was approved by 269 to 108 no's. So I think those are pretty consistent with what's been happening. Does anybody have any comments about that? Nope. Nobody's saying anything. Crickets. Okay. I have here impact of Act 127 on North Bennington. Well, we know, we talked about this in the annual floor meeting, and there is an impact. So I talk about it here because maybe it gets to a broader public. There are two different impacts, and they actually point in different directions. We'll take the first one in terms of how it impacts the North Bennington School District's assessments to the SPSU. It actually reduces them by about $26,000 in this coming budget. And that's because sorry, the acronym is not fresh in my head.
Oh, you're on LEA.
Long-term weighted average daily membership. That number, although it looked pretty good for us, puts us several percentage points lower in terms of our portion of the budget. And so for the items that we pay assessments on, we have less charge. And that's a good thing for my view. Good thing for this district. The other impact of Act 27 was not so nice, in that because of for the same factor, the other side of it is that when it comes to our ability to lower our per pupil spending costs, it does go down fairly substantially, but it doesn't go down enough to reduce our actual calculated tax rate to not much of an increase. Instead, even with the 17-cent discount that we'll receive, we end up with about 13-cent increase in North Bennington. And Shasbury has a much larger increase because their CLA, both of these increases are due to CLA effects, basically, because North Bennington's CLA dropped another 3 points and Shasbury's dropped by quite a bit more. And that accounts for the difference between the two rates, because we have the same base rate, but it's not a matter of what our CLA is that adjusts it up higher than it was last year. So that is something we're going to have to see what we can do, if we can do anything about it. We have some tools, as I wrote in my belated discussion that I sent out earlier this afternoon, if anybody's had a chance to read that. We have tools in the budget to work on that, and they're basically the rollover surplus from 2 years prior, and our the contingencies that we build into the budget for spending we don't anticipate but may show up, and it's savings from that that create the surplus going forward. We could reduce those amounts to try to walk a tightrope that would still give us some surplus to help deal with ever rising costs, but not give us such a large increase on the tax rate. And Act 127 will give us 5 years to decreasing discounts to, and at the end of 5 years, we will have no discount. We will be at the rate that our spending generates, and the CLA on top of it, if it still remains the same, gives us, if there's no adjustment in the property values on the grand list.
Right, within 5 years though, the
Should
grant
be
list
able
should
to
be
do
all
that,
adjusted,
yes.
right? It'll just be a matter of going forward, like I said, because, you know, the way that the formula works right now, like I said, there's few communities that within 2 years were out of formula.
Right. Yeah,
So,
that's way.
you know, exactly, so until Bennington / North Bennington, you know, gets the reappraisal done, gets the grand list reset, and then we have to see where that CLA number leaves us, and then obviously the first year will be what it is, and then the second year we can see what kind of adjustment, you know, year over year is. You know, property values aren't going down. Sales are still at max through the roof. I can tell you, working at the bank every day, sales are not coming down.
You're seeing lots of mortgages.
Well, the problem is we're not seeing lots of mortgages, but when a house goes on the market, it's selling in days.
Quickly, yes.
Yeah. So there's super low inventory right now because everything's turned over.
So that's driving those prices up.
That's where your CLA is out of whack, because
Yeah.
if you go on to the town of Bennington website, they post property transfers.
Yes,
You can look at two things. You can look at the assessed value and the sale. There's times that it's more than double from an assessed value to a sale. Yeah, I've seen houses that are assessed at 200 sell for over 400.
well, it's a seller's market.
Yeah, if you don't need to buy another house, you're absolutely the time to sell.
Yeah, they're not looking to sell.
Right.
Even my house might generate some money.
Every house is right now. It's crazy.
So does anybody else want to make any comments? No? Okay. And the next item on my agenda was North Bennington Board responsibilities. I'll be short and brief about this. I just want to know whether you're coming or not. Please let me know in advance. I will, the other part of this is that I will continue and try to make certain I do this in earlier time frame to send out the information that's on the SVSU website for our board packet. Send that out as a packet, which you should be able to. It's a PDF, breaks down into PDF. You should be able to open that on your computer. If you had problems, you don't look to me. We'll get you in touch with someone in the tech department here at BSU, I think. The second, and yes, so I'll make a commitment that I will get those out sooner than, and so that you have plenty of time to look at it. And so I just want to know if you're coming to the meeting, and if not, I'd like to know, you know, is this just a one-time thing? Is it going to continue? And the second thing is that I appreciate you reading all the material, or at least skimming it. I don't read every word in it, so that we can have a discussion if there is something to discuss. I think in my notes that I sent out to everyone, I kind of did fairly good summary of what kind of business we do during the year. And if you have questions about that, please contact me so that I can explain better than I did what we do. And I also send out documents that support the primary documents for our business every year, which include our budget. The budget that says it's a draft, but it is our budget, is useful because it shows the number of students that we're paying tuition for and how much we're paying for tuition. And I find that useful to refer to over time. The tuition agreement we have with the village school, the lease agreement we have with the village school, the policies the two primary policies we have, which are our policy on verifying student residencies. And the second thing is a policy on that formats our payment to tuition for students. So I'd appreciate it if you haven't read them, that you read them. And if you have questions that you need answered, I'm available by email or telephone call or in person. So, unless there is an other that someone has, I think I would, we did have a policy number 5140, communicable diseases. I believe that's been adopted, correct?
I don't know, but I can certainly.
Well,
find out for you.
it wasn't on here as being warned, to be warned or adopted, so I assume it is adopted. And I looked at it and first thing that I see on that is that in the first paragraph, it says, because all the districts recognize the transmission of communicable, I'm going to stumble over that word, communicable diseases must be limited in order to protect the rights of all students and employees. I thought that there should be the rights and health of all students and employees, but I'm not going to say they should change it for that omission. All right.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Yeah, we're adjourned. Thank you very much for coming. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.